Packer fans. This is John, and this is my good buddy Andy. And you're listening to the Packers Blitz podcast, the podcast done by two diehard Packer fans who survived, yes, those dark times of the 1980s Packers football and lived to talk about it. Packers Blitz is dedicated to the greatest fans in the NFL, Packer fans. Woo! Andy, how are you? It's been a while.
I'm really well, John. You sound a little bit tired, a little bit rusty. So we're gonna have to start
I'm a
amping
little
it up
bit
and bringing it a little bit more. It's been
this
a
is
while, hasn't
practice,
it?
my friend. Yes, yes, we're amping it up to the season. So there we go.
You had those couple shots and a beer before you went on, right?
Damn right. That's just to keep me alive.
Yep. As you know, John, I've been traveling quite a bit. Las Vegas, Buffalo, it's rough. St. Louis, even, John, but I wasn't there for the UFL
You okay?
championship game. We were talking off air about the whole Tom Brady thing and him doing a little bit of that
You Tom
broadcast, right?
Brady? Yes.
We hate you.
We hate you, Tom
Uh,
Brady.
Also been doing a lot of hiking, Ice Age Trail, 1,200 miles of trail
There we go.
in Wisconsin, but not the full 1,200 miles, of course, but been doing about, 15, 20 miles or so of that. So been keeping busy with that. And then golfing. So on Father's Day, I was able to golf University of Ridge here in Verona and enjoy that quite a bit. That's where they held the AmFam Championship this year with
Mhm.
Steve Stricker and Ernie Els going
Nice.
at it. So Ernie Els, I believe, won this year. So I was able to golf the course after that and experienced very fast greens, but it was very enjoyable because my son Nolan treated me to uh
Right.
to golf. So I was really appreciative of that and we had a great time. So it was a lot of fun. How about you? I heard the kids got your card.
Yes, for Father's Day. And hey, shout out to all the Packers dads out there. I hope you had a great Father's Day. I was surprised I received a card and a nice happy Father's Day, but I bought myself a big old T-bone steak, threw it on the grill. No one bothered me. They just let me eat my T-bone and drink my bourbon. And that's a good day, I think, for anybody.
Definitely. That's kind
Whether
of
you
a
like
tradition
steak.
for you, John, right? Right
Yes.
before you get on this podcast too, the bourbon.
You
And
damn right. It's gonna keep
yep.
me ha
You have your steak and a bourbon. That's awesome though, John. That's
yeah,
awesome. So
it's a
I'm
good
happy
life,
for you. I'm happy that the
good
kids did
life.
that for you. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Be
happy
be
Father's Day to you as well.
yeah. One thing I wanna get into before we get into anything is I just put in the chat for you, Andy, the article from New York Times, because I gotta talk about Tom Brady first before we get into Packers stuff. I know you guys are probably sick of me talking about it, but New York Post, the headline reads, "Tom Brady gets heavily booed in broadcasting debut." And you go on YouTube, he's handing the trophy to Adrian Martinez. I don't know who really that is, from Birmingham Stallions. And people are just like, this poor guy, he's like, I just want to play football and I won a championship. I'm not in the NFL, but you know what? This is good. He is a quarterback for the Birmingham Stallions. And Tom Brady gives him the trophy. And everybody's just boo, boo. And he's like looking around like, wait a minute, is that for me? And then he realized, no, it's Tom Brady. And Tom Brady has this big old smirk on his face and everything because he knows how much people hate him. I mean, this Fox, did you know Fox paid him over $200 million to be
I did.
there?
Yeah.
And have we lost our minds? Are
Yep.
we freaking insane? God, you killing me, man. They're
And that's
killing
when he retired the first time, John. He could have went and started earning that money, but he went
uh
back, right?
yeah, right?
Right.
Yeah, and he
Oh,
sucked
yeah.
his final year, by the way.
Yeah, and I think
So,
that's that's not like a 10-year contract. I think that's only like
no,
a 5-year, maybe
5
6-year
years.
contract.
Yeah.
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 So, yeah,
And
he's getting paid quite well.
yeah, and he's going to do Packer games, folks. So all you Packer Blitz fans and Packer fans, be ready
Uh,
because he's
uh,
coming. And you don't like Buck and Aikman, just like Andy and I, and millions of fans out there who hate Buck and Aikman, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, look out. This is gonna be bad. This is gonna be really bad. 'Cause he just what I saw of him, Andy, and Packer fans out there, he just looked robotic. He didn't look like a guy like, Andy and I missed the days, and if you're old school like Andy and I, John Madden, Pat Summerall, even Dan Dierdorf with his idiotic things he would say, and guys like that made, really a fun broadcast to listen to. Now, I'm not a big Larry McCarron, Wayne Larrabee guys. I'm not really into that. Those guys are fine. Larry McCarron sometimes goes off. I don't know what the hell he's thinking. He's even watching the game. And I think you had a funny story about that, Andy, one time. I think it was last year you were listening to a game when you were, traveling and Larry McCarron didn't even tell the score or something like that. Do you remember that, or am I thinking of
yeah,
something?
Wayne Larrivee too. It just seemed like they were just kinda I don't know, it's really hard to describe. It was not a very exhilarating broadcast, although that was the game that we were playing against the Las Vegas Raiders, and it wasn't a very good game.
Oh,
They were
that was
probably half asleep anyway, so I don't blame them. Maybe they're just having an off day, you know?
yeah,
So, yeah. I mean, it's not like the good old days that, I think of
yeah.
baseball more than anything, like with Harry Carey. You
"Hey,
just
let's
never
check
knew
out the
what you're
kid
gonna
the
get with him.
sombrero."
Right. And then you had, Merle Harmon and Bob Uecker. Those 2 used to be
And
great
and
on the
Joe Buck's
radio.
dad. Joe Buck's dad,
Yep,
you know,
yep.
he was
So,
actually really good from what I've heard. I didn't listen to a lot of his stuff, but when people told me he was better than his kid, but okay.
yeah, you just don't have a lot of the iconic, um,
No,
yeah, broadcasters that you used to
no.
have. So,
No, you
it's
don't. I
what
still like Al Michaels. Al Michaels, I love him because he's so professional and he pokes fun at the sport, even though it's his meal ticket. He's still on those Thursday night games, which are horrible, by the way, and the Packers will play one, I believe. He was poking fun how terrible they were. But Chris Collinsworth, I got to do extra push ups just to deal with him this year because oh man.
yeah,
More of Collinsworth, and we got Tom Brady to look forward to. So start doing your push-ups and sit-ups and drinking. I don't know what the hell to do, but do something.
right.
Be a long season with those guys. Oh,
So I thought before we start tonight, John, I would
yeah.
give Packers Blitz fans a little bit of an explanation
Okay.
about why it's been since April, I believe, that we've
Yeah.
even had a podcast. So you know, we did the draft. The draft concluded, and it was just a great time for us to kind of take some time off, reflect on the draft, and recharge the
Mhm.
podcast batteries, so to speak. And man, that 2024 draft was a little frustrating for us, especially for me, especially
Mhm.
myself. In the
Yeah.
first round, it seemed like the Packers wasted a great opportunity to draft several players that Packers Blitz had targeted and ended up drafting an offensive tackle, which at the time kind of seemed, kind of hasty and last second almost. Very much like when we drafted tackle John Michaels in 1996. That was the draft with that linebacker that Baltimore took, right, John?
Oh, yeah. Who
Yep.
is that
And
guy again?
yeah,
Ray
who's
Lewis!
that Hall of Fame? Yeah. And Derek Sherrod in
Oh,
2011. So
no,
that's a
no.
scary thought. Those 2
It's scary.
players were busts.
Mhm.
So would the Packers have taken cornerback Terrion Arnold out of
Yeah,
Alabama
maybe.
had the Lions not jumped ahead of them at 24?
Yeah.
So they traded with Dallas, moved
Yeah.
ahead of us 1 spot. That's a question
Mhm.
that will probably never be answered, right?
Yeah.
So on tonight's episode, Packers Blitz, we're going to rant a little bit. We're going to discuss the Packers draft picks this year and the 2024 Packers schedule. So we have a lot to get to tonight because we haven't been talking with you guys or talking about the Packers for a few months. So let's rant, John.
Let's
You
rant.
had a rant that you wanted to start off with. I think it has to
Well,
do
I
with
pretty much
your
started out with
favorite
the Tom
quarterback, Tom
Brady.
Brady.
Yeah, I already did my little rant about Tom
Okay,
Brady and
good
his
enough.
his ridiculous that, again, even that roast of Tom Brady, people he came out and he said, "This is so stupid." He goes, and this was interesting. They left some things on the table. They would not let them talk about, I don't know if you know the owner, Tom Kraft, he's a scumbag, and I
Yeah.
can say that because the guy was caught with underage girls at this massage parlor in
Yes.
Florida, and it's had a bunch of
Yep.
sex trafficking there, and the guy got off scot-free, even though the police warned him, "Don't come back here." And what did this guy do? This is how stupid he is. He comes back with a different car in a different outfit and goes right back into the place. Like, man,
Old
are
habits
you
die hard, John, right?
and then he's with Bill Belichick, basically saying, "Tom Kraft, I built this, you didn't." And I'm like, "Are you stupid? Are you losing your mind, Tom Kraft? Because guess what?
Yeah.
You suck right now, and you've been sucking for the past 3, 4 years, and you're gonna continue to suck." Come on, Bill Belichick, he's one of the greatest coaches to ever, coach
Y
in NFL history.
yeah,
I mean,
he is, John, but his choices lately have been a little bit, you know, not so good. So he's dating a 24-year-old,
yeah, of
uh,
course he is.
cheerleader. I guess she was a
Oh,
professional cheerleader. I
there we go.
yeah, I guess he met her on a plane or whatever. So
Oh boy.
it's another guy that
What
needs
see, the
to,
wheels are just falling off,
yeah. I
which is
mean,
great,
she's
by the way.
40 over 40 years younger than he is, so and,
Wheels
not
are
that
just falling.
Kraft hasn't been doing that kinda stuff too, but,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
won't go into
And
that.
and yeah, with the roast and everything, I watched it. And it was funny, but Tom Brady goes, "Well, maybe I shouldn't have done this because it affected my kids." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, your kids are there? Why would you let your kids watch this? It's a roast. It's supposed to be them making fun of your weaknesses and some of the things you've done in your life that you're not proud of. Your kids? What are they doing there?" But he had a list, I found out later, he had a list for the comedians who were there that they couldn't approach certain topic. I'm like, typical Tom Brady. Cheating again, cheating again. It's like he even cheats at a roast. Like you go to a roast, Andy, it should be no holds barred. I signed up for this. Bring it on. I can take it. I'm a man. Not Tom Brady. Well, you can't talk about this. You can't talk about that. You can't talk about this. Come on. He cheats at everything. He's probably gonna cheat at broadcast. Anyway,
Yep.
I'm done. You,
So,
Andy, your rant time.
moving
Go.
on. So my rant, basically the title would be "Leave It All on the Field."
There we go.
So there's the old time tested saying in professional sports, "Leave it all on the field." Jack Youngblood played in Super Bowl, I believe it was 14 with a broken leg. He actually played several
Yeah,
games during those playoffs with a
yeah,
broken leg.
yeah.
Starting Brewers pitcher Pete Vukovich pitched in the
Mm,
1982 World Series with a torn rotator cuff.
mhm.
Willis Reed played with a torn thigh muscle to win the NBA championship for the 1970 New York Knicks. Those athletes, all three of them, put their team ahead of themselves. After listening to reports and excuses for Aaron Rodgers skipping Jets mandatory minicamp for a
Oh
trip,
boy, here we go.
this solidifies my opinion of him at this point in his career. Entitled, selfish, it's all about me and not the team. Jets head coach Tarek, I believe it's That's not Tarek Saleh, it's something else Saleh. Tarek
That's
Saleh plays for the Badgers. He used to play for the Badgers.
that's Badgers linebacker, but okay,
Okay,
let's
I
give him
forget his
credit.
first name, Saleh. But Saleh talked about 40 days of me happening after minicamp.
Mm,
After minicamp. Well, once again, Aaron Rodgers made it about himself and decided to start focusing on himself a little bit early. You can say a lot of things about Brett Favre, especially at the end of his time with Green Bay, but there's one thing that you can't say about Brett Favre, that he didn't leave everything he had on the field. Available, tough, sacrificed his body for the team. This whole philosophical, cerebral, mental, and physical approach to life and football by Aaron Rodgers has been going on for a while. Maybe Aaron didn't have the wherewithal and the fight to truly become the best quarterback ever and win more Super Bowls. We like to make excuses for him because of how great and talented he is. Let's just call it what it is. He isn't dedicated and good enough to win pivotal games when he has to. Period. Now he's the Jets' problem. They're getting an old and me quarterback at the end of his career, unwilling to do what is necessary to win. How'd you like that, John?
that's
So
my boy.
I'm gonna give you some more Packers Blitz sound bites right here. So anybody wants to use these, here's some quotes from me personally regarding Aaron Rodgers. Once
Oh
again, the
boy.
optics aren't good, Aaron. I'm speaking directly to Aaron right now.
Ooh.
Why leave the team now? Why create drama when you only had to show up for a few days? Skip work, go leave the country to do drugs. What American worker making that type of money and docked pay for missing work would ever do that? Insanity. Set yourself and your team up for success in 2024, not for the big flush that was the 2023 Jets season. Behind closed doors, the Jets are regretting their decision to trade for Aaron Charles Rodgers. The Packers are laughing their collective arses off.
Arse.
That's all I have to say about that. So that's my rant, John. You have any comments on that? I will
Aaron
say
Rodgers is
I
yeah, go
I
ahead.
I love Aaron Rodgers. I loved the way he played for us. He was a great leader, great player for us. But toward the end, and now the last, I would say probably 4 to 5 years, might even been longer than that. Things have kind of changed with him, and his focus isn't, of course, on football, especially in the off season. So I understand he has a life outside of football, but I just don't know where his head's at, John. I just don't. And I wish him the best. I hope he does really well this year. But I am so sick of him. I'm so sick of him and what he pulls here and there. So yeah, that's my rant.
Yeah, and this is the thing about Aaron Rodgers. First of all, he is, and no one can argue this. He is probably top 5, top 3 most talented quarterbacks to ever play this game, right? I mean, you can't argue that. His
Yeah.
talent is beyond reproach.
Yep.
I mean,
Arm talent, smarts.
here's the thing where he went wrong, and I agree with you, and we had this with Favre too. It became about them, right? So I agree with you. On the field, Favre was I'm all in. But when I get off the field, okay, since what I did on the field, off the field, you better treat me like I'm, king, right? I'm like, okay, well, no, you know, but at least I understand your point. Where Aaron Rodgers, I felt was like, is this what I want to do anymore? Is this who I want to be anymore? That's why he said he was 90% retired. When you're 90% retired, I don't care what you're doing, what walk of life you're in. It's over. If you tell someone, "Well, there's a 90% chance I'm not gonna show up." You're not showing up, right? If you told me, "Hey," if we were talking to Andy, and I said, "Hey, Andy, can you come over this Sunday?" And you said, "Hey, John, I don't know. I have a 90% chance I won't show up." I'm not gonna expect you, right? So I think from there, he just got in his mind, "I'm gonna show the Packers I could do this," and he put his that chip that he had from the draft back on his shoulder. But now his shoulders cannot support that chip. He's not 22, 23, or whatever when he got drafted. So, yeah, it's disappointing. It disappoints me as a fan of his. Just say, "I don't think I can do this anymore." And everyone's gonna be like, "Okay." So, but I wanna talk about what we got, Packer fans. Now, this is unbelievable. If these guys work out, oh, the Jets, you're idiots. So, we got and this is the completed Rodgers deal now. This is who we got. Lucas Van Ness. What do you think? What do you think, Andy? Think he's
Jury's
gonna be a
still out.
star?
Jury's still out.
Jury's still out on him?
Yeah.
Tight end Luke Musgrave? Hmm,
Mm.
jury's still out on him?
I think he's gonna be a
Yeah?
good player.
I think he's gonna be a good
He's a
player.
really good
I
route runner, catches the ball. He hangs on the ball
This
and
is the
he
only
gets
one.
some yak after the catch, so
Yeah, this is
very
the one we got
promising.
to yes, he shows promise. I think Lucas Van Ness shows promise. He's gotta learn not just to bull rush people. You can't do that in the NFL. This is the pick we got screwed on. Kickers Anders Carlson. He's done. They brought in so many kickers in the offseason. Edgerton Cooper, that the Packers linebacker we got.
Yep, we'll talk
Uh,
about him in a little bit.
we'll see how he does. Then we got offensive lineman Jacob Monk, which a lot of people absolutely love this guy. They think he's better than our first round pick. And then safety Evan Williams, and the grade on him was a B. He's a safety, Oklahoma, and we'll see. But in my opinion, I think you're looking at, with the exception of Anders Carlson, we got some pretty damn good players and some
Yep.
young, talented players. If they take the next step, wow, the Jets got screwed majorly. So that was just my take on there. So anything else before we get into part 3 here?
No, I guess one more thing. I mean, what burns me the most is that when the season was on the line, when a trip to the Super Bowl was
Mhm.
on the line, I mean, there were times, and you know this to be true, and so do Packers fans. There were times that you're like, Aaron, run it in for a touchdown. There were
Right, right,
several
right, right, right,
opportunities where he had
right,
open space in
right,
front of him, and he didn't
right.
do it. And all I'm saying is, Brett Favre wouldn't have did it. He wouldn't
No,
have threw that
it
past, Davante Adams for the 4th time in a row or whatever.
no.
There were some questionable decisions that Aaron Rodgers made. He had the ball in his hands, and he had a chance to
Mhm.
take us where we wanted to go back to the
Yeah,
Super Bowl, go to the NFC Championship game, whatever it was. We were losing games where he had the game hanging in the balance. Maybe it was to get a first down, whatever. He just
yeah,
wouldn't do what he had to do to win.
yeah,
And
right.
that's my point. And I never thought that was the case with Brett Favre.
Yeah.
Maybe his last game against the Giants. We won't talk about that. He wanted to get back in have a hot cocoa that last game,
Yeah, he
but you know what I'm saying. There were several times that Brett
absolutely.
Favre sacrificed himself,
Yes.
his body,
Yeah.
and you just didn't see that from Aaron Rodgers. So,
No, not later,
especially
not
not
later
later.
in his
Right.
career. No,
Yep.
no.
So,
Alright.
John, you could talk about the dead period.
Dead
You're not talking
period.
about The Walking Dead, I don't think, but
No, no, we're not talking
okay.
well, uh, just like Andy and I have become zombie-like in our coverage of the Green Bay Packers in the past few months, the Packers and the NFL have reached yep. Sorry, folks, it's the dead period. This is how Zach Rappaport from acmepackingcompany.com describes this dead time of the year for pro football. The dust has settled and the final echoes, this I'm quoting by the way from Zach. The dust has settled and the final echoes of OTAs and minicamp have already receded into memory. The Green Bay Packers won't recall players for training camp for several weeks, just like they've been arrived, just like that, we've arrived at the NFL dead period, the blurry summer zone where football news grinds to a halt. Players go live, excuse me, actual lives, and we sickos, oh, gotta call me a sicko? Twiddle our thumb, end quote. Yes, this is the time you go on NFL Network, if you have NFL Network, and it's absolutely hilarious, Andy. They have nothing to talk about, and that so all they do is and oh my god, even if you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan, you're like, "Enough." All they've been playing for the past month, Kansas City Chief game, championship games, Super Bowl games, playoff games. That's all that's been on at night. And then they do like an hour. I don't even know what they're talking about on their NFL show. And I'm like, what? Yeah. Like, you guys still getting paid for this? If you are, man, sign me up. Because they had a segment which made me laugh the other day. They had a segment about cake and what kind of cake you like. That was one of their segments. They were talking to NFL players, what kind of cake do they like? And I'm like,
Really?
"Stop.
Yeah,
Like,
just
just
stop.
go home. Everybody just go home, shut off the lights because you're really gonna be busy once the NFL season starts with, all this craziness going on and who's where, blah, blah, blah." Yeah. So, okay.
So
Let's get going with a very interesting 2024
2024
Packers
Packers
draft recap.
draft recap. That's right. And some highlights of the draft. So we're going to talk about the Packers draft. We didn't get to talk about it only the first round when we were doing our YouTube first round segment or whatever that you can see on YouTube. So in the round number one, John, we picked, of course, offensive tackle Jordan Morgan. And where's Jordan out of? What university?
Jordan Morgan's out. Hey, let me look this up. See, we didn't even know, man. This is how
Exactly.
sickos we
I
are.
forgot to put it down. What is
Jordan
it? This thing's
Morgan
up.
is out
Arizona.
of
Arizona.
Arizona.
I got it.
Yes,
Okay. Out of
got it.
Arizona. Sorry about that.
Yes.
Even though John and I were dumbfounded by the Packers pick,
Mm,
I guess
yeah, I
many
get
other
that.
NFL teams were interested in trading up
Yeah,
for Jordan Morgan.
don't get
Very
it.
interesting, huh, John? According to
Very
the
interesting.
Flight Plan YouTube series, the Arizona Cardinals and Dallas Cowboys had discussions about a trade involving Dallas's 24th pick. The Cowboys ultimately traded that pick to the Lions instead. The Washington Commanders apparently tried to trade up for Morgan as well.
Interesting.
The Baltimore
Very interesting.
Ravens viewed him as their premier target for
Really?
the 30th overall pick. So there are at
Huh.
least 3 teams there that I listed off, John, that were legitimately interested in Jordan Morgan. So I guess that makes me feel a little bit better. And that's kind of very
Yeah.
interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So the jury's still out, John, on that.
We'll see in preseason.
ESPN NFL draft guru Mel Kiper said this about Jordan Morgan. Jordan Morgan was a stalwart on the blind side for Arizona who rarely missed an assignment. He blew up edge defenders in the run game and made them look silly in pass sets. He'll be a plug and play starter. End quote. Well, John, Packers Blitz fans, football fans, sometimes Mel Kiper doesn't always get things right
No.
either.
He's not
But
perfect?
but as of now, with starting right tackle Zach Tom recovering from a torn pectoral muscle, Morgan has a great opportunity to start at either right guard or right tackle. So Anything, John, you wanna add about Jordan Morgan before we
Yeah,
move on?
yeah, just really quickly, in the OTAs, this is interesting. I don't know if it's good or bad. We'll have to wait and see when preseason starts. But they cross-trained, according to Packers Wire. Packers, the cross-trained first-round pick Jordan Morgan at 4 position. So that's basically the entire offensive line. So they tried him at right tackle, left tackle, guard, right guard, left guard. So they tried him at all except for center. That's the only position they didn't try him at. And basically, it's coaches speak. All the coaches said was, see if I can find it here. Oh, they say he's kind of at the level of Elton Jenkins, that he can play different positions, multi positions, which I'm like, hmm, okay.
Which is usually what they look for in offensive linemen, don't they, John?
That's
So,
what we said, right?
yep,
That's what
and
we
we're
said in
about
the
to say
draft.
that about another guy that we drafted, I believe, in
Yep.
the 5th round, which you had
Yeah.
already alluded to. We'll talk
Yeah.
about him in a little bit,
Yes. Go to
a
round
little
2.
teaser. So, yeah, after Jordan Morgan, we selected linebacker Edgerrin Cooper out of Texas A&M in the 2nd round. He is a fast, athletic, and a playmaker. So far, Cooper has been all over the field, sideline to sideline, wreaking havoc. The Packers believe that he could pair with former first round pick Quay Walker to become one of the best linebacker duos in the entire league. Of course, it's still too early, but Edgerrin Cooper may start in Jeff Hafley's new defensive scheme. So, do you have anything to say about Edgerrin Cooper, John?
No, other than speaking of Quay Walker really quick, he came out and he said he loved Jeff Hafley's defense, that it's finally using all the things he did well in college, and it fits him, and translate very his quote is this, let me just read it. Quay Walker says this, and I quote, "It's a lot of stuff that I did in college, and I think it translates very well for a lot of us," said Walker. "It fits what we do. And not only that, I think Hafley has done a great job of putting us in the right position. I love it so far." And supposedly they've been with James, our second round pick, been teaming them together. And like you said, he's all over the field. Like he's been able to cover tight ends. They put him on wide receivers. They put him on running backs. And, of course, he doesn't do 100% everything correct, but it's like
Very
speed
promising,
kill.
John, again, very
Very
promising.
promising.
There's a
And Edgar,
lot of scouts, a lot of people that know a heck of a lot more than we do about pro football that really like this kid. So I've heard that over and over and over again. So we might have got
yeah.
something, hopefully, got a really good
Yeah,
player in
we'll
the
see.
2nd round. You're supposed to really when you're drafting, in the 2nd and 3rd round and 1st
Yeah.
round, you're supposed to get some guys that are supposed to start for you. So hopefully he's one of those guys.
Yeah.
We need him. We
Yeah,
really
and
do. That was an area of
w
weakness last year, so we want it to be an
yeah,
area of strength now, right?
and I've said this a million times, and we watched the 49ers do this to us. Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, those guys single-handedly really took over the game, or have taken over games when we've played San Francisco. That's the especially Fred Warner for the 49ers. If he wasn't on that team, I guarantee you we would have won the playoff game last year, because he was all over the place and really causing trouble. And same with Dre Greenlaw till he got hurt. He was
Yep.
causing so many problems.
Yeah, I think he blew out
And
his
that's
Achilles
yeah,
running
he
onto
blew
the
out his
field.
Achilles. Yes. So that's what the Packers need. We need to get back to that where we have 2 linebackers that can just kill you with speed and everything. Like, I always liked a guy called Desmond Bishop, and we definitely know Clay Matthews. When those guys were on the field and healthy, man, that was a heck of a defense. You had the speed from Clay Matthews, and Desmond Bishop, didn't maybe not have the speed you want, but he was just a smart player and he's a very good tackler. He can make plays for you. He busted up, a lot of plays that maybe have gone, for a little more yardage. They were just a good, solid duel. And, they just fed off one another so well that's why we won a Super Bowl. Well, that's one of the reasons we won a Super Bowl because our defense stepped up when they needed to. And what's been our Achilles heel? Our
Defense.
defense can't step up when we needed to.
Right.
And I hope
Stop
Jeff
somebody.
Hafley yeah, and I hope Jeff Hafley, everybody's in their honeymoon phase, just like we were with all the other coordinators we had. And, eventually it just went to crap.
Yeah,
But
it's
I,
that new voice. The new voice sounds
yeah,
great up until it doesn't
up
anymore.
until up until stupid Brock Purdy goes down the field on you when he hasn't done squat all game, and you're like, "Come on."
Yeah. Yeah, then you don't
Yeah,
make
it's the
the
next one.
adjustments and put your players in the correct position
Yeah,
to
put them
succeed, right?
right, right?
Yep. Well, they had some problems tackling in that game too. That was a really
That too, that's it.
big problem, so
Yeah.
another player we selected in the second round was safety Javon Bullard out of Georgia. Again, another player from Georgia, John, that we selected,
Go
from
dog.
Georgia's
Woof, woof, woof.
defense. Yeah. Oof. The Athletics, Dane Brugler, we've talked about him before, thought Bullard was his favorite Packers pick and said this: with his ability to rapidly read routes and drive on the football, Bullock can play a nickel role or drop and handle coverage in space. The Georgia coaches raved about his competitive confidence and leadership personality. End quote. NFL.com's Chad Reuter thought Bullard was one of his three favorite picks in the second round of any of the teams because of Bullard's fit alongside Xavier McKinney. Reuters said this of Bullard: his open field tackling, recognition skills, and coverage ability make him a playmaker. End quote. Basically, 7 interceptions by the Packers secondary was pathetic last year,
Got it.
and Javon Bullard has been brought into the fold to help change that. Right, John?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
again, he's a playmaker. He makes plays behind the line of scrimmage. He makes plays all over the field and is prone to getting also interceptions, which is
Mhm.
important as well, right, John? So
Yes.
he's been looking really good. And so hopefully that's another guy that we got that's going to be able to start right away. So, anything to say about Bullard before we
No,
move on, John?
no. Keep on going.
And then in round 3, your guy got selected. You were absolutely right,
Mhm.
John. Very interesting. John
Very
predicted
interesting.
this pick on Packers
Yes.
Blitz episode number 69,
You
and
bet.
he was spot on.
Mhm.
That player is running back Marshawn Lloyd from USC. John said this: Marshawn doesn't have a lot of tread on his tires. End quote.
Yeah.
And I think I wrote that down in a notebook because you had said that we might select him. And I
Yeah.
thought it was kind of interesting what you said. So that's a good thing, isn't it, for a running back not to have a whole lot of tread
Absolutely.
on the tires? So
Yes.
he's fresh,
And
fresh legs.
yes, and go and folks, if this works out, okay, we by far who have the best running. I'm saying it here first, way too early, but I'm quoting right now. If you look at the Packers running back room right now, if you look at what AJ Dillon is doing, he looks like a statue. He's so ripped, it's unbelievable. And good old Marshawn is not far behind him. So if they can figure this out and these guys can stay healthy and AJ Dillon he's in another contract year. You heard it here, folks. I think you have two 1,000-yard rushers. I totally believe it. Call me crazy, but I will once we go back on when we do our predictions for the upcoming season. I'm telling you that's how much I believe in them. We'll see if
Yeah.
I'm right.
Yeah. So Marshawn Lloyd, John, just like you said, and many draft experts thought that he might be possibly the best running back in the 2024 draft
Yes, a lot of
class.
people still say that.
Yeah, there were a lot of people, not everybody, but there were a few that said that. So
Yep,
if he's an RB2 to Josh Jacobs RB1, then the Packers got a great value pick out of that pick, didn't they, John? So yeah, if he can back
absolutely.
up Josh Jacobs and be a really nice complimentary player to him, that's going to be a pick that was well
Ooh,
worth taking, right?
yes,
So, that's
you
pretty
bet.
awesome. Yeah, and again, don't forget about AJ Dillon either. So, you got 3 really good
Yeah, that's
top-notch
what I'm
running backs.
saying.
So
That's what I'm saying.
and then also in round 3, we drafted linebacker Tyron Hopper out of Missouri, and I predicted this one. However, I had him going much later in the draft along with
Yeah,
everybody
right.
else. So, I thought we might pick him more toward, like, the 5th or 6th round, but we ended up picking him
Mhm.
in the 3rd. Um,
Which is weird. I don't know why
and
they
so he
jumped him.
hasn't been getting reps with the starters or the backups, so he needs to step it up if he wants to make the team, John.
Yeah.
So it looks like that isn't going very well so far, but
Wow.
was a guy that, a lot of people had targeted. That was one of the guys that I thought we were going to take a little bit later in the draft, and we took him, but again in round 3. So a lot of people thought that was a little bit too high for him.
Yeah.
And so far it seems like that's kind of playing out. So hopefully he'll turn it
Yeah.
around and, if he
Yeah.
can play special teams, he'll probably make the team. So he's going to have to
Yeah.
like diversify a little bit. So in
Mhm.
round 4 we drafted safety Evan Williams out of Oregon. In round 4, I don't really have anything to say about him yet
No.
because I haven't really seen him, so, we aren't gonna go into
Yeah.
great detail, but we did pick another
Mhm.
safety, a second one, and then I think we picked another one later on too. We picked a
Yes,
lot
we
of
did.
safeties. So
A
then in
lot.
round 5, I wanted to talk about inside offensive lineman, basically a center. They project him to be Jacob Monk out of Duke. And John already talked about Jacob before, that he's
Yeah.
been looking pretty good. So his experience, he started 58 games at the college level in
Yeah.
various offensive line positions, center, guard, and tackle. So pretty much everything he started
I
at.
know.
He brings pro readiness to the Packers, potentially earning him a spot at right guard, uh,
Yeah.
but I but they project him to eventually be a starting center, John. So,
Mhm.
yeah, so that's a distinct possibility as well. So also the Packers moved up to get him, and so his quickness and mentally and physically could give him a chance to start at center at some point as well. Like I
Mhm.
said, but they moved up to get him, John, is the key. So they must have saw
Yeah.
something in him, and looks like so far they got some really good value. Also in the 5th round, we picked another safety. I think that's our 3rd.
Yeah.
Catan, I believe, Oladipo out of Oregon
Yeah.
State. Don't really have too much to say about him so far,
Yeah.
John.
We'll see.
Okay. And then in round 6, we drafted tackle Travis Glover out of Georgia State. Haven't heard too much about him either as well, John. Have you heard anything about him?
Not really. They just kinda tested him on different parts of the line, that's about it.
Yep. And then in round 7, we had a couple picks. The first one was quarterback Michael Pratt out of Tulane. That is not one of the guys that we targeted, John. I think we had
No.
mentioned like 2 or 3 guys, and he was not one of them.
Ye
So, but we did say that they were going to select a quarterback, and they did.
Yeah, yeah,
So that part
yeah.
was good.
Eh,
Have
here's
anything to
something
say
about
about
this.
him?
Yeah, just really quickly about him. He's killing it. Like like Sean Clifford, the guy we drafted out of Penn State in the 5th
Yeah.
round last year, he
Yep.
should be worried. Supposedly, this is way too early, but he's making throws that people are like, "Is who is this guy? Is this like" eh, they can't believe it. Like, they're like to the point of if he continues this, he will be the backup. Because he is head and shoulders more talented than Sean Clifford. And Sean Clifford was pretty talented at Penn State. He won a lot of games with Penn State, although Penn State had a really nice team, a really good team, really good coaching staff. They can't believe it. I mean, they're just flabbergasted. I can't remember one of the coaches, I don't know which one it was, maybe one of the offense coordinators or the guys who help out the offense coordinator was just like, wow, okay. Like he was running the offense like he knew it, like for like 5 years. And the people are just like, "Huh, okay." And Sean Clifford is, of course, saying all the right things. "Oh, yeah, this is gonna be great, great competition." So,
So he's pro ready,
interesting.
John.
Yeah, and guess,
That sounds great. Wow.
Brock Purdy got drafted though the last pick of the draft,
Yep,
and he's doing okay, and we need a backup. People, understand this. Jordan Love is now has a huge target on his back. It's no longer, "Oh, let's see how this kid plays." Now people are putting him in the upper echelon of quarterbacks in the NFL,
yep,
saying he's the best quarterback in the NFC North right now. So, yeah, people are coming at him. So we need a backup.
yep.
Otherwise, we are screwed. We just can't win with our defense pulling us along because we don't know what they're gonna be like. So we need at least somebody to kinda right the ship for a little bit, and we'll see. We'll see once the preseason starts. What do we got? So on to the next quarterback, which is really interesting.
Yeah, cornerback Kalen King out of Penn State, where Sean Clifford was from, right? Uh,
Yes.
so the reason I'm mentioning him and talking a little bit about him, he was the third from last pick taken in the 2024 draft, but he just may be the biggest steal of the draft. So
Yes.
very interesting. Listen to this. Following the 2023 draft, three way too early mock drafts projected King anywhere from the number 15 pick
Yes.
to the number 20
Yes.
pick in
Yes.
2024. So they were expecting him to go in the first round, John.
Yeah.
Okay. ESPN draft analyst Matt Miller thought either Alabama's Kool-Aid McKinstry or King was the number one corner. Well, McKinstry was the fifth cornerback taken. King was the 36th and final corner picked. So he was the 36th cornerback taken,
Mm.
John, in the draft.
Yeah. Yeah.
In rookie minicamp, he got some opportunities at nickel corner and forced a fumble that linebacker Edgerrin Cooper, we talked about him before, returned for a touchdown. Kalen King was the only cornerback that Green Bay selected in the 2024 draft. John and I, and John, you'll probably confirm this. We really thought they were going to pick some cornerbacks high, like in the
Yes.
first round, and they just didn't.
Yes.
And so they didn't
No.
pick one until almost the draft was over.
Yeah.
So it was very, very interesting that they didn't select more.
Mhm.
So they guess they must be happy with who they have, and maybe
Yes.
Valentine and Ballantyne and those guys that they drafted
Yeah.
last year, they think are going to be players good enough to play, right? So,
Yep.
but anyway, anything else you want to add about him?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
So our let's talk about our overall draft grade and synopsis on the draft. So the Packers blitz was not even close to perfect in who the Packers selected with their 11 picks. However,
Mm.
we were spot on with the positions that the Packers would concentrate heavily on: tackle, linebacker, and safety. Packers blitz was even correct that the Packers would select one running back and one quarterback. We talked about that, John, right? So we were
Yep.
right. They
Mhm.
actually did pick a running back and one quarterback. We just didn't. You picked the right running back, but we did not pick the correct
No.
quarterback at all. However, we thought the Packers would select more cornerbacks and select them much higher than we did. So
Mhm.
again, we were off on that. I really was surprised by that, John. But they did pick three safeties. And some of the safeties that they did pick, John, are capable of playing
Yeah.
nickel corners. So, okay,
Right.
right. So a lot of draft analysts gave the Packers a grade of B, B minus for their draft. Majority of them were B though, John. So for my score for the Packers draft, and again, it's too early to tell. I would give it a like a B plus. John, where were you at for that? Your
I was with everyone else. I was a B because
okay.
I just think the first round pick we already talked about is a little bit puzzling. We'll see how that goes. And being that they didn't draft a receiver, well, they got some free agent guys off the street. We'll see how that goes. But that they didn't do that and they didn't, well, maybe we'll see how the linebackers go too, and the defensive line goes. Obviously, they got, yeah, Cooper. We'll see how he does. But defensive line, they picked up some guys here and there. We'll see. They feel confident that their defensive line, they'll be able to switch people in and out, and, we'll go from there. So,
Yep. And now, John,
but
you're going to
the
talk about the Packers 2024 schedule. So
way
exciting
too
stuff.
early Packers schedule.
Yeah, way too early. Yeah. And
Yeah, so
so
let's go over that
John, just
really
to
quick.
let you know, I put in
Yeah.
whether I thought they were gonna win or lose. You could,
Already?
you don't
Okay.
have to yeah, you don't have to
No,
agree with
I'm
me.
not
I was
I'm
trying to
not
come
a
up with
desperate person.
a win total
Let's
because they have that over under
yeah,
for that, and
I'm gonna go
I
with it.
came up
Let's see what
with
they say.
a pretty high number, so that I felt good about that.
Okay,
So
okay.
go right ahead. Packers 2024 schedule.
Packers
Woo! Let's
2024
go.
schedule. So, week 1, we're at Philadelphia, but are we at Philadelphia? No, we're
Yeah.
in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Mhm.
Andy's gotta win for that one. I'm gonna hold off. I want Andy first, and then I'm gonna maybe hold off on this a little bit. Then week 2, we go to Indianapolis.
No, actually, we're
Anth
in at
oh,
Lambeau. They
we're at
came to
Lambeau on
Lambeau.
that one. I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor. Company come with that win from Andy on that one. Then we're at Tennessee. That's Will Levis. Okay. Vrabel is gone. A win. Okay, I get you on that. Then week 4, we are have the Vikings come here. That's a win. If you can't win at
Yep.
Lambeau against McCarthy or whoever idiot they bring
Yep.
out,
So,
come on.
being a homer, John, we're 4-0 at that point.
We're 4-0.
Yep.
We're 4-0. I might go 3-1 on that one.
Yeah, they have Sam
Then we're
Darnold
at
as their
the
quarterback, John. If we
uh,
can't
yeah,
beat Sam Darnold
yeah, right, yeah, we're
okay.
in big trouble. At Rams, got a loss on that one. Trip to the West Coast, the Rams aren't as bad as some people think they are. They should have been beating the Lions last year in the divisional round in Detroit.
Yep.
Aaron Donald is gone, thank God. But they drafted heavily on defense to offset it. I am not set on the quarterback. Why am I drawing a blank on him now?
Matthew Stafford.
Matt Stafford.
Yeah,
I think he's running on fumes. We'll see. Week 6, Arizona. That's a win. It's a rebuilding franchise.
at
Kyler
home.
Murray Kyler Murray's probably going to be either hurt or not back to his old self. I
Yeah.
agree.
We should
Week
definitely be able to win that game. That should be automatic.
By the way, this is the game I will be attending, and I'm super excited. And of course, you put us
Why?
down for a loss. Thanks a lot. We're Houston at
Oh, okay.
Lambeau.
You're ex this
I'm
this
going
oh,
to
that's
this
gonna be a good
game.
game, John.
Damn
Congratulations.
right. I am
Better
so
than going to the
excited.
Arizona game. I thought you were going to the
Yeah.
Arizona game, so that's
No, no,
good.
no, no. Week 7, and CJ Stroud is much better in the dome, but you still say a loss? I see a win on that one.
Okay.
Um, but we'll talk week 8, ax Jacksonville. Packers just haven't played well against Florida teams in Florida. Yes, that's a loss. Jacksonville is I don't know. They just have our number. It doesn't make any sense. Week 9, Detroit comes here, which is kind of weird. Well, so that's a win because the Lions overpaid. You damn right they overpaid Jared Goff. A left tackle, Panay Sewell, and wide receiver, Amon Ra St. Brown. But especially Goff, and I totally agree on that. Detroit,
Overpaid.
welcome to our nightmare because now you have no money.
Right. Yeah, it's
You
Penei
have a lot
Sewell.
of dead cap.
Yeah, left tackle
This
Penei Sewell, they gave him the bag along
yeah.
with Amon-Ra
Oh, they
St.
gave the
Brown.
bag and St. Brown, they gave the
Gr
bag. He's
I'm
a
not
good
saying they're
receiver.
not great players, it's like you just can't
Yeah,
pay
yeah, yeah, yeah,
everybody,
yeah,
and now they gotta pay
yeah,
that, defensive end they've got, Hutchinson, right? They're gonna have
yeah,
to
yeah,
pay him
yeah, yeah,
eventually, so you don't
yeah,
have money for
yeah.
everybody.
No, you don't, and all these
What
rookie
happens when you get
contracts.
good.
That's what happens, we know it, and you love it, Packer fans. And then week 10, this is perfect, we got a bye. And I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, kinda near the end." No, this is perfect, and the reason I say it's perfect is because when the Packers seem to have a bye near the end of the year is
Yep,
when they start doing well. So it's like we win 4 games, there's a bye, we're like, "No,
yep.
damn it,
It's a lot
don't
better
have
than
a
having a
bye
bye,
now."
like, week 6 or week,
And yeah,
5, like, way in the
and
beginning of the
and
season, so you
right,
get healthier.
yeah, and check out good old Matt LaFleur's record in January. He's still like 18-1 or some ridiculous thing. It's ridiculous. So then we come back and we're at Chicago. Loss!
Yep,
Out of
I've got the
here.
Packers
Caleb
losing that
Williams
game.
is actually a respectable and legitimate quarterback. Yeah. And he plays the way against the Packers. Chicago has this game circled on their schedule. I agree. The NFL schedule makers did the Bears a big solid by waiting to week 11 to play the Packers. Kinda agree on that.
Yeah, they
Caleb
lucked
can
out.
get under him. He can get his sea legs under him and everything.
Yep.
I'm gonna wait and
I
see
really
in that
think
one.
we're gonna split with Chicago this year, finally, so but
Ooh, Chicago Bear fans would
okay.
love that. By the way, I'll say this after. But then we play the 49ers. We
At
gotta beat
Lambeau.
them. We gotta beat them.
Yep, but they
Come
also have to
on.
prove it, John. They have to prove it.
Come on! You
Yep,
gotta win that game.
I've got
I don't
them
want any damn
losing as of
excuses.
now, but
Uh,
so
oh, we better not. We better not.
I just gonna lose it if they do, but yeah.
Oh. Um, by the way, the Chicago Bears have a 2-18 record against the Packers between January 18th, 2024 and January 18th of 2024. Yes. 2-18.
So
Suck it,
when did that
Bears.
start again, John? That was
It
20
started in 2014. I have another
2014.
stat too,
Okay, so
but
it's
this
about
is
ten years.
the past decade, the Bears are 2-18 against us.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Oh, love it. Anyway, alright, so, we
Thanksgiving,
gotta
week
beat the 49ers.
13.
We gotta beat the 49ers. Then, Thanksgiving, we're Miami, Lambeau oh, thank you. It's just the second time the Packers will play at home on Thanksgiving since 1923, which is weird. Yes, Miami, we play them, we win that game. Week
Yep,
14, we're at Detroit 2 Thursdays in a row. God damn. The Packers split with the Lions. Yes, we do lose that one. Week 15 at Seattle.
win,
Ooh, we gotta beat those. The
Seahawks.
Seahawks are not very good. They have a new head football coach. I agree. Week 16, New Orleans is in Lambeau. That's a Monday Night Football. And the Saints suck. I agree. They got
They
nothing.
totally suck. That's another
Week
game that should be an
17, then we are
automatic
at
win.
week 17 at Minnesota. Sam Darnold will not be playing. I'm sorry to tell you, he will be gone by week 17, and we will
I would
see
assume.
JJ McCarthy. We will win that game because JJ McCarthy, according to all reports, is sucking. Week 18, Chicago and Green Bay. Yes,
Mhm.
we win that game January 4th or 5th. That's days to be determined. Saturday, Sunday. Packers play on 4 different days, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and Monday,
Eh,
and possibly a 5th Saturday, the last week of the season. Packers will not lose 2 games to the Bears. We will not lose any
no.
games to the Bears. But anyway, s pretty good schedule. Strength of the schedule, if you're wondering, opponents had a 526 winning percentage in 2023, so over 500. We are tied for the 4th hardest schedule. We always get the stupid hardest schedule. I can't remember when we had an easy schedule.
Yep,
Way too early over under if you're taking it. 9.5, Packers Blitz says Andy says 10. I'm gonna hold off on mine.
okay.
But
I have them
I
winning
think
10 games, possibly 11. That Houston one, I'm
10
kinda
7,
wavering back and
10
forth
7.
on.
Yeah,
They win that game, they're at 11 wins,
yeah,
so
yeah. The Packers have 9 home games instead of 8, which is
which
sweet.
is good.
Remember when we played in London, that was a home game, and it sucked for you
Yep.
Lambeau ticket holders. You get screwed out of a game.
And that game
Week
in Brazil is considered, I guess, an away game for us, but
As an
it's an
away
away
game
game
that
for
Philadelphia will
Philadelphia
be
too.
hosting.
So actually it's like that's kinda like a draw, right? So we get 9 home games. That's an advantage.
Absolutely. Weeks 12 to 14 is a tough stretch with a span of 12 days. The Packers play the 49ers, Dolphins, and Lions, a combined 35 and 11 in 2023. All these teams, with the exception of 49ers, Dolphins, and Lions, will have bullseyes on their back. We'll see if they can step up. 49ers are still a good team, and they just find a way to win. Starting with the Miami game on Thanksgiving, the Packers play 4 straight primetime games.
Yep.
Woohoo! 2 Thursday night games, ugh, okay,
Uh-huh.
a Sunday night game, and a Monday night game. The revenge game, yes. The Packers can exercise a lot of demons with a win over the 49ers, which they will win,
They
or
will.
they will not come home. San Francisco ended our 2023 season, which we let them off the hook.
Yep.
Everybody knows that who's a football fan. A late field goal, it was always on Anders Carlson, but yes, that did not help. Multiple missed tackles by the Packers D, and J Love's last pass of the season, an interception. Yeah, it won't be soon forgotten by the players. I know he would love to have that pass back. Jordan Love even said it. The coaches or the Packer fans, have not forgotten that game. We hate the 49ers.
Hey,
Throw in we throw in 2 other playoff losses, during Matt LaFleur's tenure, 2021 divisional round, which we should have won a game,
yep,
and 2019 NFC title game where they kicked our butt. So that one, okay. And this should be one of the most hotly contested games on the schedule.
yep.
So, Packers Blitz bold prediction.
Prediction. Bold.
J Love will put himself in the MVP conversation because he will outdo the likes of Jalen Hurts, CJ Stroud, Brock Purdy, Tua Tagovailoa, blah, blah, blah,
Tagovailoa.
Jared Goff, and Caleb Williams in a head-to-head battle. So that means the Packers football team will ride that success to double-digit victory. I
Yeah.
agree.
Hey. Woo.
So, conclusion, my friend.
John and I will be back when something monumental happens with our favorite football team, the Green Bay Packers. Training camp is coming up. Probably a shareholders meeting for John, right, John? You're going to
Yes,
shareholders
sir.
meeting?
I already got my ballot to vote.
Okay. We'll put out some more content when we have some more content to provide to you.
Dead
To
zone.
you, the greatest fans in all of professional sports. We love you. We love pro football. And of course, we love the Green Bay Packers. Before we leave you tonight, we wanted to give you this parting thought. God is a Packers fan.
Damn right.
In May, a green aurora borealis was seen over Lambeau Field. This is significant because, of course, that is also the color of the team's uniforms. In some parts of the world, a pink or red hue was observed. So, the fact that this green light covered the home of the Packers was considered by many fans to be a sign of prosperity for this upcoming season. John, many Packer fans, and I strongly believe that this is a good omen for Jordan Love and the Packers to win a fifth Super Bowl. John?
Amen, brother. Amen.
Yeah, did you see those
Uh,
pictures, John, of the
yes, I
green
did.
aurora
It's
borealis
quite
over
beautiful,
Lambeau Field? That was kinda
quite beautiful.
cool.
Yeah, it was.
It's glowing green.
Yes, yeah, so just know, again, we'll be putting out things from time to time. If something comes up, hopefully nothing
Maybe a
bad.
Jordan Love
So
contract, John.
yes, the
Yeah,
Jordan Love contract gets
possibly.
done before, well, training camp starts or during training camp. We'll, of course, be on during training camp because we want to break down the players and start talking about the upcoming season and what we think is going to be happening. And so we're really excited about it.
Yeah,
I'm glad that I can have Andy back on, and talk Packers football. And yes, we're in the dead zone, so, just enjoy it, go back.
The
There's
dead
all of the
zone.
games you wanna watch on YouTube. You can watch old Favre stuff, for good old Andy there. You can watch the Super Bowl from the Pittsburgh Super Bowl when, with Aaron Rodgers. You can watch Jordy,
Nelson.
Nelson highlights. You could watch I watch all this stuff because 'cause I'm like, "I need something." So I'll watch, I'll put on some highlights, and also if you have YouTube TV, I recorded all the games last year, so I go back and watch some of the games. And I was watching a couple weeks ago, I was watching the Saints game when the Saints were up 17 to nothing, and we came back and beat them 18 to 17. And I was like, huh, maybe Jordan Love, maybe he is our guy, because we all
Right.
had doubts. Don't sit there,
Definitely
Packer
did.
fans, and say you didn't, because you would be lying.
Yep.
But
And a lot of people think
we're
he's
happy.
gonna be this year's MVP too, which I'm like, Whoa,
But
whoa, whoa, hold up a little bit."
yeah, let's just
Yeah,
pump the brakes and see how
right.
we do. So anyway, be sure to subscribe and like whatever you listen to Packers Blitz. Put out some comments there, and just enjoy it. And hopefully Andy and I will be back on. So that's it, buddy. Go Pack, go!
Go Pack, go.
All right, buddy. Love you. Talk later.